Welcome to Mr. Marr's Lockdown History. Quick 2-minute summaries about a range of different history topics. In today's episode, we're looking at one of the most famous figures from Scottish history, Robert the Bruce, who was one of the key figures during the Scottish Wars of Independence. Bruce is arguably the most famous king in Scottish history, and it's here we start by considering how he became King Robert. He was from a very powerful and wealthy Scottish family. Indeed, his own grandfather Robert had come close to being named King of Scotland after the Great Cause in the late 1200s. And after John Balliol had been removed as King of Scotland and William Wallace was dead, Bruce was one of the main rivals to King Edward of England, who controlled Scotland. Bruce became involved in an argument at one point with John Comyn, another powerful Scottish noble, and this resulted in Bruce killing Comyn in a church in Dumfries. At this point in time, Bruce and his supporters quickly went to Scone, and there they crowned Robert as the King of the Scots. Bruce's early time as king were not successful, as Scotland fell into a civil war. This was divided between supporters of Bruce and supporters of John Comyn that he had killed. In addition, King Edward of England was also angry at Bruce and sent North soldiers to fight against him. At first in the civil war, Bruce greatly struggled. His army was defeated, and eventually he was left with almost no supporters. He is said to have fled Scotland, and some legends have it that he was inspired to return by a spider. What is certainly true, though, is that he did come back to Scotland, and he began slowly to rebuild his army and to defeat the English and his Scottish rivals in various battles. He ultimately was able to bring the civil war to an end and win control of castles round the country. However, eventually one castle in particular remained out with his power, Stirling Castle. Bruce laid siege to Stirling Castle, and eventually it was agreed that if England did not send north an army to fight against Bruce, the castle would be handed to him. This would lead to the most famous event and battle in Scottish history, the Battle of Bannockburn. Although Bruce and his men were outnumbered by the English army which eventually came north, they had some advantages. They trained on the ground, they set traps, and England were led by the largely weak King Edward II. Bruce was ultimately able to inspire his men to a famous victory, not only giving him control of Stirling Castle, but largely giving him back control of Scotland. After Bannockburn, Bruce then took action to fully win Scottish independence. He launched a number of attacks in the north of England. He sent his own brother to Ireland to try and win control of that country so that they could unite against England, and ultimately, for a period it seemed success was coming his way. He had the support of Scottish nobles and religious, shown in events such as the Declaration of Arbroath when they wrote to the Pope. And finally, after Edward II died, he saw his chance. King Edward III, a young and weak king, ultimately made peace with the Scots at the Treaty of Edinburgh in 1328. Bruce, though, would only enjoy 1 year of this before he would finally die.